On a cold January night, they planted the seeds for a new beginning in Cincinnati's West End.
Only silence for the babies born addicted.
This is the first meeting of Genesis Chapter 2. Its mission?
To help you get back to the position of being a man, standing on your own 2 feet, looking toward a good future and providing for yourself and your family.
We are survivors and refuse to see ourselves as victims.
The first Genesis chapter started in Winton Terrace 2 years ago.
But fortunately, I had, my brothers right here.
It's been successful in helping troubled black men fulfill their commitment to turn their lives around and find meaningful jobs.
And I think being able to know that you have people, backing you one way or another gives you strength.
Since the formula worked in Winton Terrace, the men decided to try it in the West End.
For the new members, and that would be Philip, which I know.
On the first night of this new West End chapter, Philip Blackman is the only new member to show.
Here I am. I have a home. I'm here at the household. I have to take care of family. So that's encouraged me to come out here and do what I got to do, make myself successful.
Because all of us are going through struggles and challenges.
But 5 months later, there are 7 more new members. A close look at just one new Genesis man tells us how hard this new chapter will have to work in order to be as successful as the first chapter. That man, Fred Luther.
This is a probation violation, Your Honor, in which...
Fred's from the Laurel Homes in Cincinnati's West End. He dropped out of Taft High School. He's often unemployed, doesn't support 2 of his 3 children, has a history of beating up people.
He came to us as he heard about the Genesis program and what we could do or possibly do for him. In a 2-hour talk with him, my assessment is that he's sincere about changing his life, and we go about the process of helping men do that.
This is the morning Genesis director, Calvin Williams, goes to court with Fred. The issue is a minor probation charge. The major problem is Fred's in front of Judge Melba Marsh. She's heard Fred promise to do right lots of times.
We've been over 5 chances, Mr. Luther. You have failed on each and every last one of them. And each time we go through the cycle all over. So, Mr. Luther, why should I allow you to go to the Genesis program?
Because I feel that I can do it this time. Last time I ain't had no real friends. Now I do.
And now you do. Because you've made the commitment. I want to see what's going to happen. So, he's yours.
Judge Marsh essentially releases Fred to Genesis.
Yes, ma'am. We wouldn't allow him to use our program. I mean, the process is pure, and if he's not sincere, he will fall out the program as well.
Fred's freedom does not last long.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Just hours after he promised Judge Marsh he'd do the right thing, the police arrest Fred near Fountain Square. They charge him with menacing for threatening to shoot an officer.
Which case are you calling next?
Frederick Luther, Your Honor.
Okay.
Fred must face Judge Melba Marsh again.
Isn't it interesting, of all the courtrooms in the entire world, of all the judges in the entire world, Mr. Luther rolls my number in my courtroom again.
Right.
This time, Judge Marsh is hard on Fred.
So, Mr. Luther, what do you got to say to me today? All right, thank you, Mr. Luther.
Yes,
Oh, I don't think so today, Mr. Williams. At this particular point, Mr. Luther, the sentence is 30 days. I'm going to credit the 14 days. Mr. Luther, I'm sorry, but you don't deserve anything else but to spend 16 days in jail. Now, Mr. Luther, once again, you're looking at me with a defiant way. That's fine. If only you could turn that defiance when you get out in the street to do something good.
While in jail, Fred told us he's a victim of circumstances.
And they're blaming people. They're blaming people. I'm the victim. Exactly.
Longtime Genesis member Donald Torrey says Fred and other newcomers are going to have to learn Genesis does not play the victim thing.
What happens when you say I'm a victim? Then you fall into that victim mind state. You want to blame racism. You want to blame the white man. You want to blame the black man. You want to blame whoever and whatever instead of looking at yourself first. That's the number one thing we do inside Genesis. We try to help you look at you.
Now that Fred has served his time, he says jail has helped him think differently.
Do you blame other people for your mistakes, or do you accept full responsibility for everything that's going wrong?
I blame myself.
Blame yourself?
I blame myself.
Once again, Fred promises to turn his life around.
And what kind of changes are we talking about?
The weed smoking, drinking beer, hanging out late with my friends. I'm gonna try my best to put all the bad stuff that I did behind me. I'm gonna take it one day at a time, slowly but surely. Things don't happen overnight. As long as I got good friends and my mama standing behind me and Calvin Williams, I can do this.
Fred seems to be keeping his promise of trying to do right.
I had a good week.
Fred's now vice president of Genesis Chapter 2. He's gone back to working his job at a fast food restaurant. He is helping to support one of his kids, and he's avoided trouble with the law.
Amen.
If new Genesis members like Fred Luther consistently attend the weekly support group meetings and stay employed, they'll qualify for the coveted white satin Genesis jackets. They symbolize how committed members are. They've only been awarded to the hardest working members from Chapter 1.
Now, Antoine Coates, come on up, Antoine. All right.
With Genesis supporting him, Antoine Coates gave up drug dealing, got a job, and began supporting his family.
I'm kind of nervous, though.
Not only are they themselves infused with a sense of hope for themselves, their future, their children, but other people look at them and say, if they can do it, I can do it too.
Bishop Herbert Thompson of the Episcopal Diocese of Southern Ohio helped create Genesis. He says the goals are not only education and jobs, but also to give the black men a sense of belonging.
When they move through this program and see themselves as productive and as somebody who has something to contribute, they feel 10 feet tall.
Algie Bowman Jr., come on up, Al.
Like, I can do something, that this society needs something that I have to give. And that is worth going. You can't put a price tag on giving somebody a sense of self-worth.